Last year I took the KOM on Mont Ventoux from Seoul, and now I'm back to take on another side of Ventoux. This time from Malaucène to try to get the KOM on 2 of the 3 sides of Ventoux. This is how I set a new 1-hour power PB on the way to taking a KOM on one of the most famous mountains in cycling. I took the train out from Nice and rode just a short way to where I was going to be staying in Bédoin. This is the town at the bottom of the most famous side of Ventoux, where Poggi has an untouchable KOM from the 2025 Tour de France. I'm getting ready to leave my place in Bédoin. I'm sipping on some sugar water in this bottle, and then I poured a bit into this soft flask. So I'm going to take this soft flask with me to the bottom of the climb. It's only an hour effort, so that should be more than enough. I've got the bottle cages off on the bike just to save a little bit of weight. Got to make up for the 360 camera on the front. I've had so many comments about the all black Derby skin suit, so now they sent out their all white one. See if you guys like that better. Had to pull out something special for the Ventoux KOM attempt. Let's do it.
Like a moth to a flame, I'll pull you in, I'll pull you back to what you need initially.
You can see I had quite a bit of traffic there at the bottom, but managed to get through it. This is starting from the town of Malaucène, and this way up Ventoux is a lot more consistent than the way I went up Seoul, but still has a little bit of a flat section here at the bottom.
All right, we made it through. Almost got perfect timing on the light, but not quite. Time to lock in.
Luckily there's plenty of room to squeeze by. There's going to be a ton of cyclists on this climb. Not too much car traffic, but we'll see. There's a little bit of an obstacle further up the climb that I have to deal with. I settled into a pretty conservative pace at the bottom. I wanted to stay just ahead of the live segment, but I didn't want to dig a really deep hole at the bottom because this is quite a long effort going to a pretty high elevation. So I knew I'd be suffering and paying for it later on if I went too hard in the beginning.
5 minutes in, 376 average, 11 seconds up on the KOM. Feeling decent. Gotta keep it easy.
My weight is around 70 kilos and my threshold's around 400 watts. So for me, that 376 average for that first 5 minutes was definitely pretty conservative, and I could have been going a lot harder.
10 minutes in, 9 seconds up on the KOM, 383 average. Just trying to maintain the gap on the live segment.
I was a little bit nervous still only having that 9-second gap after 10 minutes, but I knew I had to just trust in my pacing and keep going to the top. It was pretty motivating getting to pass all of these riders. The all-white skin suit is definitely giving me some watts here. Pretty happy with this one. I think it looks nice. Definitely hard to keep clean, but I'm going to be taking it out for all of my big important efforts and videos going forward. I just have to try to not have a bad day because you can't be going slow in an all-white skin suit.
20 minutes in, 383 average, 10 seconds up still.
I've got the Wahoo head unit on my bike just on top of the 360-degree camera that you're seeing the footage from, and I've got the live segment up there, so then the whole way up the climb I'm basically looking at my power, my lap power, and my gap on the KOM. So at this point I had brought up my power just enough to stay ahead of the KOM on the live segment. I didn't know how fast this segment was going to be, so I didn't have an exact wattage target in mind. This one was more just going off of the live segment for pacing and off of the feeling that I had on the day.
30 minutes in, 24 seconds up, 384 average. Halfway.
Then I come up to these line of stopped cars and I wasn't sure what was going on. And then I got up and I could see the tractors ahead. And I was really worried here because I know in France it's quite common to have farmers' protests where they take out their tractors and they block the roads. Here, it looks like they were just driving up very slowly. So it was a little bit annoying. There was a lot of smoke coming out of the tractors and I had to wiggle around to get past them, but I didn't actually have to stop, thankfully. I knew at this point that this was one of the only things that could mess up this effort and prevent me from getting the KOM was something blocking the road or some kind of mechanical. So I was definitely stressing when I saw these, but luckily I didn't have too much issue getting past. If you haven't seen any of my videos before, you might be wondering who this random guy is in the white skin suit with a 400 watt FTP. I've done some elite road racing in the past in the US. When I was living there and working full-time for Zwift as a software engineer, But in 2025, I moved to Nice, France to explore a different pace of life and try something new. And then since then, I've picked up the content creation. And so you can see the videos on my channel to get some idea of how I train. I quit my job when I moved, and now with unlimited time to train, I have the best fitness of my life. And I've been really enjoying just going after some of these crazy segments in Europe and trying to push myself to be at the best level that I possibly can. It's a pretty exciting journey, and I hope that you want to follow along with me.
40 minutes in, 40 seconds up. 389 average.
My power came up quite a bit in that last 10 minutes as I was trying to drop the tractors, and I expanded the gap to the KOM time by quite a bit there.
Oh, thank God, I think that's all of them. Oh my God. My lung cancer probability just skyrocketed.
Breathing in those exhaust fumes at pretty much max breathing rate wasn't exactly my favorite thing, but otherwise this day was absolutely perfect on Ventoux, so I definitely can't complain too much. And now we're into a little flat section through this intersection, and then onto the last stretch up to the very top of the radio tower, where we have quite a bit of consistent steep gradients. And this is probably the hardest section of the climb, as you have to be on a pretty steep gradient, but also you're up to over 1,600 meters now, so the altitude is really starting to have an effect. I could see the radio tower up in the distance now, and I was really starting to get motivated to push as hard as I could. And this is where I did my most power of the day, actually, because I had paced it pretty conservatively, so I was still feeling really good. From this point to the top in the final 16.5 minutes, I actually averaged just over 400 watts and expanded the gap to the KOM to over a minute. I had enough of a margin here that I was confident I'd get the KOM, but I wanted to get everything out of myself and set the best possible time I could. I was absolutely suffering here, as you can see by the crazy faces that I'm making, but it turns out it still wasn't enough to stop the KOM from being taken. And just this week, before I could get the video out, Ben Bouchette, the guy with the all-white European Fondo skin suit that beat me at La Ventoise, actually managed to beat my time on Ventoux from Malaucène. So now I'm going to have to go back. Luckily, I already had a trip planned to do L'Étape Femme that finishes on Ventoux. So I'll be back there in a couple weeks to try to have another go and take my crown back on this side of Ventoux. So I'll get back to my 2 out of 3 hopefully, but stay tuned for that video. It'll definitely be a tough one because this was a pretty high bar and he set it even about a minute faster. I almost certainly won't have this nice of conditions. This is such a change from the last time I came up here in my Seoul video. You can see I'm having a little bit of difficulties with my shifting there, so I'm gonna have a new bike for the next attempt on Ventoux. This old guy from 2022 is finally gonna get put in the barn, and I've got a new build coming up that's going to be featured on my channel, and I'll show you guys the process of that, but should save me about 1 kilo as well. So that'll be a little bit of time, but the rest is just going to have to come from my legs. Doing Ventoux in August is going to be a bit tough. This effort, it was nice and cool at the top, but Ventoux gets really hot in the summer.
Does he know you call me when he sleeps? Or does he know the pictures that you keep? Or does he know the reasons that you cry? Or tell me, does he know where your heart lies? Where it truly lies? Yeah, you should be with him. I let you go from time.
I wasn't sure if I was supposed to stay down on the road or come up here to the tower at the end there. Hopefully that didn't mess up the segment, but I came up here and it was obviously super busy, tons of people. There's the radio tower, this is the sign. It was a solid effort, felt really good.
My baby, where it truly lies. In my arms.
All right, gonna head back down the other way to Bedouin now. Get back to the Airbnb and rest up before the Fondo tomorrow.